Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're sketching out a deeply unsettling case file known as the Daniel anomaly. I want you to picture a really simple scene, okay? Just a basic outline of a bathroom with a mirror on the wall and a guy standing in front of it. But if you look closely at the reflection, there's this eerie disconnect. The man in the room is standing in total darkness, but his reflection? It's bathed in bright morning sun rays. This kind of subtle, almost impossible shift in space and time is exactly where we start to see how a perfectly logical anomaly completely and utterly unraveled a man's sanity. Let's dive in.
To really get why this case is so fascinating, we have to understand the guy at the center of it. Daniel was an engineer. We're talking about a deeply logical guy who lived his life by numbers, systems, and things that could actually be measured and mapped out. He definitely wasn't the superstitious type. But then, he finds this antique mirror down in the basement of his apartment building. It was incredibly heavy, with a frame carved full of these strange, unrecognizable symbols. Still, it fit perfectly in his bathroom. So, his practical mind completely overrode any creepy vibes, and he just brought it upstairs and hung it up.
Phase 1. The discovery.
So he's got this heavy antique mirror mounted on his bathroom wall, right? And on the very first morning, his carefully measured reality just totally fractures. Imagine him standing there, half asleep, holding a toothbrush. That's his reality. But he looks up and his reflection is already fully dressed. It's literally wearing clothes he hasn't even picked out of the closet yet. He blinks and the image just snaps back to normal. You'd probably think, okay, my tired mind is just playing tricks on me, right? But the truly terrifying confirmation hits him just moments later. He walks over to his wardrobe and, completely on autopilot, puts on the exact outfit he just saw in the mirror. The mirror hadn't just shown him a weird image, it had literally predicted a subconscious choice he was about to make.
Phase 2. Testing the mirror.
Now, because Daniel is an engineer, he doesn't just panic. He does exactly what any systems thinker would do. He maps it out. Over the next 7 days, he tests this phenomenon with incredible clinical precision. And the rules of this anomaly? They became completely undeniable. The reflection wasn't just guessing his outfits. It was moving entirely on its own. For example, in reality, it might be a dark Tuesday morning. But if you looked in the mirror, it was a Wednesday morning totally bathed in warm amber light, and Daniel is just watching his reflection spill its coffee. His mirror self was living a totally separate life, completely disconnected from the present moment.
The absolutely crucial point here comes down to the math. 24. Daniel calculated the exact temporal offset. Every single event happening inside that glass was taking place precisely 24 hours in the future, down to the very second. He had literally discovered a window straight into the morrow.
Phase 3. The gift of tomorrow.
At first, this didn't feel like a threat at all. Actually, to a systems thinker like Daniel, it was like the ultimate hack. If we just track his timeline, Day 1, he confidently avoids that coffee spill. Day 2, he's perfectly prepared for a surprise phone call. By Day 3, he leaves early and completely bypasses this massive traffic jam. For the first time in years, Daniel felt entirely safe. He was never late, he was never caught off guard. This mirror was giving him this profound, though, as we'll see, entirely false, sense of total control over his life.
Phase 4. The figure appears.
Here's the thing about perfectly predictable systems. They can hide the absolute most terrifying variables. Daniel gets pulled from his sleep at 3 a.m., and the whole atmosphere just shifts. He walks into the bathroom, and he doesn't even turn on the light. He actually didn't need to. The antique mirror was already glowing faintly in the pitch black. So he just stands there, watching his reflection live through tomorrow's 3 a.m. in that exact same darkness.
But then, he notices the variable. His reflection is standing in the identical darkness, in the exact same spot. But the reflection refuses to turn around. And just beyond the bathroom doorway, inside the reflection, there's a tall, completely featureless figure. Just a shape, really, standing there, completely still, watching. And the really horrifying implication here is that tomorrow's Daniel either doesn't notice this thing at all, or he's way too terrified to even look behind him. Daniel's immediate panicked reaction is to just break all his scientific observation and spin around. But the doorway was completely empty. His actual apartment was dead silent. He ended up spending the rest of that sleepless night desperately trying to rationalize the whole thing. He told himself, it's just a trick of the darkness, just my half-asleep brain playing games. And honestly, because the next 3 days went perfectly back to normal, showing him helpful shortcuts and reminding him to grab his umbrella, he actually managed to lull himself right back into a false sense of security.
Phase 5. closer each time.
But a system always returns to its pattern, right? Exactly on the 7th morning, that weird pulling feeling woke him up again at 3 a.m. And this time, the spatial progression of the anomaly escalated, step by step. Step 1, the figure was out in the hallway. Step 2, now, on this 7th morning, the figure has moved right into the bathroom doorway. But step 3 is where every single rule he thought he knew completely shatters. The tall, featureless figure doesn't just stand there anymore, it turns its head. It totally ignores tomorrow's reflection, looks right through the glass, and locks its gaze directly onto the real Daniel standing in the present.
Phase 6, the hotel mirror. So naturally, Daniel's flight response kicks into high gear. He grabs his keys and just drives straight to a hotel. He makes a very logical assumption here. The physical, antique, symbol-carved mirror in his apartment had to be the sole source of this threat. The next morning, Daniel wakes up and feels this massive wave of relief. He's standing in front of a perfectly modern, completely normal, plain rectangle of a hotel mirror, no carved frame. And his reflection is acting normally. It's mirroring him in real time, not 24 hours ahead. He finally exhales, totally convinced he had escaped the system. He splashes water on his face, just trying to wash away the nightmare.
But as he looks up, the system delivers its final, absolutely crushing twist. The tall, featureless figure was standing right there, right behind him by the hotel room door, in a plain mirror that had never shown tomorrow, in a room it logically, scientifically should not have been able to reach.
Panic sets in. Once again, he spins around. And once again, nothing. The physical space of the hotel room was utterly, completely empty. But this time, turning around didn't offer any relief at all. It just totally shattered his final logical defense. This led Daniel to one final, horrifying deduction. He realized that the antique mirror back at his apartment wasn't magic. It wasn't summoning some kind of demon. It was simply the only surface unique enough, or maybe powerful enough, to reflect the actual truth. It wasn't just showing him tomorrow. It was showing him the invisible entity that was already stalking him.
Daniel never went back to that apartment. But even more tragically, he can never, ever look into a mirror again. Not even for a fraction of a second. Because he is now cursed with the knowledge of a variable that he can't measure, can't control, and definitely can't escape. He knows exactly what's waiting just out of sight, always one step behind him, always watching, just waiting for a morning when he doesn't run.
It was never showing you tomorrow. It was showing you what is always there. So as we wrap up this Voidnix explainer, I want to leave you with a deeply unsettling question to think about the next time you're brushing your teeth in the dark. What is always standing right behind you? Thanks so much for joining me today. Keep your eyes open, because the darkness still has infinite stories left to tell.